Hello, fellow pipers. Typing Piper here. Not smoking a Caminetto Cucciago. Woo! There's a ton of snow outside, so since I don't smoke in the house and it's a pipe channel, I guess I should just kind of do this while talking. So, I wanted to talk today about somebody who is online, somebody whose videos and interviews I've been listening to. He also has a blog, Mr. Money Mustache. He has his own financial cult, that's what he calls it, called the Mustachians. Mustachios? Pretty sure it's Mustachians. Anyways, these are a group of young 30, 40 somethings, that's relatively young when we're talking about retirement, people who are retired, essentially. Or what they like to call it, financially independent. They can choose to work or not. Of course, this is an idea that I've been racking through my head since I was in my 20s. Like, how can I stop working for a place or a job that what's the accurate term? Hate's too strong. Despise? Yeah. This whole notion of you're plugged through a school system that you detest in order to work for a company you don't like for a set period of time that you didn't agree to upon at any time in your life, and you're forced to, frankly, because of where you were born. That whole idea didn't really, it didn't fit the definition of freedom that everyone's always pushing. We're free in this country. No, you're not. When you can quit your job and not have your house taken away, and your kids not taken away, and your car not taken away, and, so on and so forth, that's when you're free. When you have the option to do something else, that's when you're free. So Mr. Money Mustache, I like his message. What I don't like is some of the things that he says. So overall, his impression of retirement and life is that anybody can do what he did, which is, I'm just going to say it now, it's a complete lie. Also, that he's trying to say that regardless of your income, that you can pretty much retire early. Now, getting back to his story, this is a guy who graduated from college with an engineering degree, no student loan debt, made over $100,000 a year, and decided, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I'm just going to save 60 to 80% of my income every year and retire at the age of 30. Well, that's nice when you're making 4 times as much as everybody else, and, your bills, he talked about this. For the longest time, he lived in houses where he had roommates. It was 3 or 4 people in a house. Your rent's like $200-300 a month. That's like the reality of most people working part-time at jobs with no benefits. But according to him, those people can retire early too. I feel like there's a false message here when it comes to what I would view as the majority of people in the United States. Unfortunately, most people like to pretend they make more money than they do. The people who are willing to admit that they make less than they should are, in a way, looked down upon or almost treated as pests. Um, oh, well, you're young. You can do something about that. Or um, it's your own fault if you're fill in the blank. And that doesn't help anybody. So, my situation, according to Mr. Money Mustache, I should be able to, at some point in the next 10 years, basically retire. Um, Aside from having 2 mortgages, I really don't have any debt. The only reason I have 2 mortgages is because my wife and I, when we weren't married to each other, we both bought houses before 2008. Bells should be going off right now. Her mortgage is a worse situation than mine. Recently, looking over the paperwork, I noticed there's a big difference between my mortgage maturing in 2039 and her mortgage, which matured in 2056. A 50-year mortgage. I don't understand how that shit's legal. Looking at it, there's some plus sides to it, and there's a lot of downsides to it. In the last, let's see here, 15 years, she has paid maybe 15 grand into the principal. She bought the house for about 90. Completely overvalued at the time. My opinion, it was a fraudulent mortgage. So, we have some options. One of them is not selling. In order for us to sell, we'd have to sell for less than what the outstanding balance on the mortgage is, which is a complete loss. Overall, a mortgage is just a loss. It is essentially paying rent while putting small little deposits down on your house. For example, my mortgage on my own house, I bought mine for $65, also far over the market value. And then it's a 30-year mortgage, 1% higher in the interest rate. It's like 5.2, something like that. Hers is 4, which again, that's a plus, but it's also got another 20 years. So again, she's still paying more than most people. The upside is my taxes, both of our taxes have gone down, which means that our payments have gone down. The escrow needed every year has gone down. And I've also paid mine from 65 down to about 50. It's just over 50. I'm pissed. I wanted to get the outstanding balance below 50 by the end of the year. That's not going to happen. So I want to set some goals for next year. That is part of this project, is paying off as much of that mortgage in a year as possible and seeing how I can do that and how much I can actually do, how big of a dent I can put in. Because one thing I don't like, and going back to you're paying rent to pay a little itty bitty down payment on having a house, so my monthly payment is about $480 for my mortgage. 120 of that goes towards the principal. 220 goes towards the interest. It sounds like something that should be in like a I don't know, mobster movie. It's completely ridiculous. So I hate seeing that. I definitely want to see more going towards the principal than what's going towards the interest. Interest is basically a tax for being poor. especially when it comes to mortgages like this. It's saying, hey, you don't have the money to pay for this now, so we're going to charge you more, in a sense, 3 times more than what that thing actually cost. If you're to only make the monthly payments on your house for that 30-year mortgage, expect to dish out 3 times as much as the market value of that house was when you bought it. Because 30 years down the road, it's not going to be worth 3 times as much as what you paid for it. It's not. It's a complete sham. So, getting back to Mr. Money Mustache, do I think he has a good message? Yes. Do I think he is a little cocky on what he thinks he can teach people? Yeah, he's not living in the same reality as who I believe to be most people. When you go directly into a career where you're making 6 figures straight out of college, and then you think that somebody making 20, 30,000 a year could retire in 10 years, you're essentially being Mitt Romney. I don't know if anybody else remembers this, but when somebody asked him who the middle class is, and he was like, I don't know, somebody makes like 250,000 a year, something like that. That's kind of how I would place Mr. Money Mustache. On the upside, do I think you can learn to be more frugal, to spend your money better, get out of debt? Yeah, I think these are all things that people overall should be striving to do, and this is why I cringe during the Christmas season, because I personally know of people who are going out and spending money on presents that people don't need with money they don't have. And, a few months down the road, I know some people are going to say, yeah, so-and-so borrowed some money from me, blah, blah, blah. Can you believe that shit? Well, yeah, because you're all a bunch of irresponsible assholes. And not all of you, I'm talking about people I know, but yeah, it's like this revolving circle of, well, I can spend that money now. Oh, I don't have it later. Oh, I can borrow it from this person. And it's just irresponsibility that is tumbling down this hill, hitting piles of dog shit, and getting into a bigger turd of dog shit. And I'm doing this down here, by the way. So that's not the boat I'm in, but that's one that I want to drift further away from. So that's my goal. And currently, so I owe about 50 on my house. And the ultimate goal is to, whatever I use to pay off certain bills, that money will eventually get rolled over into some other bill. So yeah, eventually, after my house is paid off, because it's the lower bill out of the two, whatever I'm paying on that gets dumped into this one and knocks several decades off of that mortgage, or at least down to the point where we can sell it and possibly break even. Yeah, did anybody ever go to jail back in 2009? There was one guy. I believe he was like Chinese or Korean or something. I saw a documentary on it. But yeah, everyone else got weird bonuses. And anyways, getting away from 2009 and how we should have got out the guillotines. So that's my goal, is to basically dump a ton of money into my mortgage, and seeing what kind of dent I can put into it, how low I can get the monthly installments, because that is also adjusted depending on how how much you put into it. So essentially, as it snowballs, what the bank requires turns into less. They do that for two reasons. One, the interest on whatever principal you have is lower, therefore the bill is lower. I just had the mortgage insurance drop off, which was $50 a month. That happened a year or two ago. That was a big dent in my monthly payment. Also another big scam. Oh, by the way, we need you to have this insurance in case you can't pay this mortgage. Should you be giving me a mortgage if I have to take out insurance out on the mortgage that you're giving me? What the hell? So, anyways, that's some of the numbers. I'll dive a little more into it. Mr. Money Mustache, check out some of his interviews. If you take away his six-figure salary and all the benefits that he had after college that the majority of people don't have, and you just kind of go by his money principles of like living frugal and not, riding a bike instead of owning a car and all kinds of the other little goodies that are hidden in there, check it out. There is much to be learned, and next time around, maybe I'll talk about Dave Ramsey, because everybody loves that guy, and I don't know why. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and keep on typing.